All right. So it's preparing to go live. I have no idea where it's going live. Oh, we're live on my page. So we're not even live. So this is where we're supposed to be.
All right. Hello, everybody.
So, hey, everyone. I'm just going to share this in the American Witch Tour group. I don't even know if I can. Link. So how are you this morning, Steph?
I feel great. I do. I feel, I was exhausted when I woke up this morning. We had our Beltane celebration last night with our coven. I was exhausted when I got home. Exhausted when I woke up this morning, but definitely like reinvigorated. I did my entire daily practice, which, you know, sometimes that can be like a 5-minute thing or it could be like a 2-hour long thing. You know, so I did the whole thing this morning. I took I cleansed my home, I laid protection, and I did a cleansing spiritual bath this morning as well, which was great. And I got a lot of awesome downloads on my meditation. So I'm feeling very invigorated after Beltane last night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I came to Beltane last night with so much energy. So much energy, so much just like wild energy. And it was like dancing, and I danced when I made my Beltane Bannock, and I just like was feeling this massive like build up to the release of all the things, you know, that we've been talking about, like all those pieces that we perseverated on and focused on and processed over the winter. And it was a really good opportunity to, you know, for me, I was already in that celebration mode. I was already leading up to that because I had released so much in community and via community in a different way for me, that when I got to that community, I was like at the height of my energy, which Fire Festival, you know, really embodying that. But this morning I feel super grounded. I feel really incredibly grounded today. I feel really incredibly calm and ready to like put things into action. Like it's almost like, yeah.
I feel like I'm ready to get back to work today. I was having like a really hard time. I was like kind of spiraling over the last 2 weeks. So I guess grounded is a good word for that. I got back into my practice and I'm like ready for work today.
Yeah.
So
that is what this conversation is about today. So if you don't know us, I'm Beth. My name is Beth Barling, and this is Stephanie Schaefer, and we're sisters. And biologically and within our circle, we run a community. Well, we facilitate a community called the American Witch Tour, and we do retreats, we do open circles, and we just really are doing our part as the community witch, being part of community, creating space for people with no judgment, and just sort of being way showers, shining the light on, you know, what's perfect and divine within us, and allowing that unique, perfect divinity to come to escape, for lack of a better word. So do you have anything else you want to add to what we do so much?
We created this space to give people the opportunity, which leads us into our topic today. I think that both of us were solitary for a very long time. We didn't even practice with each other. Being that we were sisters, and we did not practice with each other. And then years ago, we came across a public circle, and I think that has changed us. So I think that this is kind of like what we're doing as a gift back to the witch community, to again offer these public forums, places, groups, and you know, meeting places, so that other people can have that experience, whether you're a witch or not, or whether you practice solitary or not. That leads us to the conversation today, which is the importance of having a community.
Yeah.
And not just friends, right? So like, what is community? It's not just friends. It's not just coworkers. It's not your family. To me, community is a place where you can truly and honestly be yourself and show up as yourself. And then you can break down as yourself. You reveal yourself to other people. You reveal yourself back to you. And the growth the connection that comes from that, from being vulnerable, when you're vulnerable in that space in front of other people, it leads you, you're releasing your shame, you're releasing your dogma, you're releasing all the masks that you wear. And through that vulnerability, you're able to create a truly authentic relationship and connection with somebody else around you. And then through that, you can really grow and change and see who you are, and really flourish. So to me, that's what community is. You know, it was not, like I said, like friends or coworkers or family. It was a group of, for us women, that offered me this opportunity, because I'm not vulnerable in my life, right? I'm perfect. I'm not vulnerable. I'm a hard worker. I do everything right, right? There's a lot going on there, which I'll spare you. But in community, I allowed myself to be vulnerable and to really get to know who I was, and the growth that I have gone through from that. I still have a solitary practice, but it was from that community that my life changed radically, by having that support and love of other women and that opportunity to be vulnerable and to release all of my shame and guilt.
Yes.
Sorry, rambled with that one, but that's
I don't think
that's
that
how
was
I felt with Beltane last night. It was ridiculous. You know what I mean? It was such a great time to just let go of all the things that are like, all the stuff that you put on yourself before you come to circle, all those constraints and restrictions and perfection and all the shoulds, that I should be doing this, I should be saying that. And then, you know, you meet somewhere in the woods with a bunch of like-minded women and paint yourselves and paint each other. And who knows if you take off your clothes or not, or you break your dress because you're dancing so hard and you rip your clothes. And release is definitely the word for that, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And Beth, you turned out to be an awesome painter last night.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Speaking of community, so for those who aren't familiar, Beltane is
Sorry, guys.
No. That was exactly what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about like what it looks like in community. But to add to Stephanie's point, Beltane is I'm blanking on the word. It's what are they called? Our Sabbats.
Sabbath. It's part of if you follow the Wheel of the Year, it's part of the Wheel of the Year. It comes from May Day, May 1st, the May King and Queen. May Day is the Christian version of it, with the pole, maypole.
Yes. So the maypole is, so what this, to me, Beltane is like that sacred marriage, right? It's that space where the God and the goddess, the Lord and the lady, the masculine and feminine become one. So this is, it's marking the height of spring. It is the start of summer. And for May, you know, it's a fire festival. So we talked a little bit about how Beltane means light fire, like the great fire, this great fire. And it's this real cleansing of, you know, all the things that we're releasing, all the things that we need to step into action, you know, take action, step into who we are showing up as. And there's no better place to really honor that than in community, because it is so incredibly vulnerable. And that's, you know, and we do a lot of solitary work still, Stephanie and I. We have very different means and methods that are authentic to us. You know, a community doesn't mean, well, I don't want to say it doesn't mean hive mind, but it, you know, we definitely have our own divine fractal that we are adhering to, this peace, this divinity within us. We have our own authentic journey, our own authentic lessons. And when we find safe space, judgment-free zones, when we find these spaces, we can come into community and, you know, just show up. So it's easy to show up vulnerably in your house. It's easy to dance in the shower. It's easy to sing in the shower or on your treadmill in the basement. But when you are dancing in front of people and you just, and dancing is an example, but we're really letting loose. We're really just dropping all of our guards, all of our masks, like Stephanie said, and we're getting this, we have this opportunity to really embody what it means to be in our authenticity. And it is just fucking amazing. I mean, there's no other kind way to say it.
No. So number one, I want to say that if I danced on my treadmill, I would die. So that is not a practice in my house, Beth. Kudos to you. Number two, you know, you had mentioned a judgment-free zone. in a solitary practice, one of my things that I grapple with a lot was my solitary practice was not a judgment-free zone for a very long time.
Mhm.
And I had, my witchcraft practice was turning into this like thing that I had to do, and it wasn't good enough, and I was never good enough, and I wasn't reading enough. My practice was, and I wasn't a good enough witch. And it wasn't until my, my judgment and my lack of love for myself was so harsh. It wasn't until I found that community and I was with you and other women who did love me and who didn't judge me, that I was able to, I wasn't used to being in a place where I wasn't judging myself. And that was overwhelmingly emotional in the beginning. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But over the years, I have practiced not judging myself in community. So for me, it's the other way. When I'm by myself, I can get real harsh with myself real fast. But when I'm in circle, as soon as I start getting harsh with myself, there's a whole group of women who bring me back, check me and remind me of how wonderful I am. And if I didn't have that community, I would really be lost in my living room, speaking very negatively to myself that I wasn't doing it good enough,
Well, we are our own worst critic. For
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
And that comes down to that whole, like, we definitely need guides. We are always
Yeah.
teachers and students on this path, until you are, I just said this the other day in the Order of the Rose, until you are literally slamming your hand down into the dirt under a Bodhi tree, you're literally on the path. We are on the path together. Our teachers are everywhere. Our students are everywhere. And again, it is so important to have an outside resource, a guide, a friend, a sister, a brother,
Yeah.
somebody to, and maybe not even like smothering you in self-love mantras and shit like that, but really just about, sometimes when you say something crazy, like, I'm not even going to offer something, but when something comes out of my mouth, sometimes people will go like this. And I'm like, oh, let me fucking check myself. Let me check myself, because that doesn't make sense. So when we talk a lot about, healing inside here first and stepping and allowing that, once we heal these things within us, we're able to have compassion for those around us that are still working through that. We're able to see that and have compassion. So we're available for their journey. So a lot of being a witch is really doing that internal work so that we can meet you in the shadow and we can meet you at the highest high. Like we're doing that self-work. And in community, in that safe, sacred space, it's amazing how sometimes it's outside in, how we see somebody who's so courageous and so vulnerable and so authentic. And we're like, oh my God, I love them so much. And why am I not stepping into life like this? And it's this sort of upward spiral of momentum and energy and love. So what a beautiful thing to be in communion, and what a beautiful thing to be, allow that outside to come in. So good morning to Barbara, who said hi to us.
Hello.
So that is one of the best parts, I think, of being in community is it's that in and out, it's showing up and shining our light. And it's also being a witness to the light around us and really celebrating each other as unique and divine. And, and one of the things one of our sisters said to us last night was, I really shouldn't be around people. And she can claim the comment if she wants. I'm not putting any, our circle, our some of our ceremonies are private for many, many reasons. But she said, I'm not supposed to be around people tonight, I've decided. And I was like, well, we're not people. We're like your tribe. This is your circle. We're here to witness you, and we're here to hold space. And if you don't want we're here to be whatever you want us and need us to be in that moment. And it's really just about personal growth. It's, I don't know. I love being in community.
Mm-hmm.
Deep breath. So circle, the circles that we do.
When's our next circle coming up?
So our next circle is coming up on May 16th.
And this is a full moon, right? Because last time we did a new moon. So this will be a full moon ritual.
Yes. So we're doing a full moon, a public ritual, full moon ritual. So the full moon for us, the way we honor the full moon is about honoring the fullness, the fullest part of the moon, and how we start to like decrease and unwind and release. So we're embodying that release. That's what I'm running. That's what I'm doing on this full moon. I don't know if you agree, but that is how I celebrate the full moon. Is I celebrate this moment when we're at our fullest and we're like, okay, well, what do I need to shed? What do I need to let go of? What no longer serves me? What practices can I bless and let them, release them to the next person who needs them, or release them back to Mama Earth so she can transmute them and send it on its way wherever it needs to go. I feel like we should be thanking Mother Earth a lot more than we are. So just sending her gratitude and love for that. But that is the goal of this circle. And when we come together in circle, whether, our private circles are a little more, it's a collection, it's a collective of priestesses it's a collective of priestesses, and it's a collection of women. It does happen to be all women in our community that really just want to be in that energy and just celebrate that and just feel that feeling. So this is not just for witches. It's for anybody who wants to step into dipping their toe in earth-based spirituality, dipping their toe into a different way of finding the divine within you, finding that light within you and sort of releasing it, our authenticity, vulnerability, all the things that we've been talking about. And we do it in a really safe way. We do it in a way that, especially for me, being in circle is very sacred and it's very vulnerable. So I need to make sure I'm calling in my spirit guides and my tribe that comes with me in every spiritual container. So that's we create this beautiful light space within a public container. And we really make sure that everybody coming to the circle is sort of in alignment in some way or another. Most of the people that come to our public circles, we know, I would say that, they're often pretty light. They're entry level circles, but they're classic themes that we do in the public circles, so that anybody from, our most esteemed priestesses consider, they're available to come to our public circles. And then anybody who just wants to try this out. So anybody within that spectrum of person can get something out of this circle and feel safe, because I think it's important to feel safe. What do you think about that safety part? I feel like I'm saying too much Beth words.
I know. You know what's so funny? I always know you're not saying too much. It's always so funny not funny. Like the safety part, I live for things that aren't safe, so that I'm always surprised when people are like, well, is this safe? I'm like, of course it's safe. But anyway, so I'm laughing at myself. So yeah, safety is a huge responsibility, but it is. We are not summoning things. We are not. I think that there's I think that people are interested in, and I think that there is a lot of bad information out there of what's going to happen at Circle or what we're actually doing at Circle. Circle is an opportunity for men and women to get together with a combined interest, basically shed all of your old energy, come into Circle, raise energy for a purpose, release it, manifest it, and then go home with a fresh, lightened spirit. That's how I feel, really, at the nuts and bolts of why you do ritual. And this could be as heavy and intense and overbearing as you want it to be, which some of our circles are, and then some of them are like Beltane, and they're completely fun, wild dancing festivals. When you do a public full moon ritual, for me, that is introducing people who want to know what it's like to absorb the energy of the moon. The moon is the goddess. The moon is the element of water. Water is the element of emotion. Most importantly, the element of love, because love is the foundation, in my opinion, of magic, either the abundance of love or the lack of it. You have to have energy and emotion involved in what you're doing. I always say, you're not baking a cake when you're making magic. You're really changing the energy around you. And there is no other, I think when you work with the moon, you are working with in my opinion, a divine feminine energy. And your mother, dark or light, no matter what phase of the moon you're working with, your mother will never lead you wrong when you cry out to her at night. And that's how I feel about moon rituals. So in my opinion, this is the safest thing that you could possibly do with your life, is to go outside and look up at the moon and release yourself with the love of the Divine Mother as she's glowing on you. You know what I mean? Like that's her rays. And, you know, I always say to people at the beginning of my practice, when I decided to get back into my practice, for the first year, all it looked like was me crying under the moon. You know, I had a lot of pain and hurt and self-judgment and loathing that I had to work through before I could even think about doing magic. You know what I mean? There's so much that you have to do with yourself before you can even start really doing magic or being magical, for me at least. And like I said, I feel, so when I think about doing moon rituals and safety, there's no safer place than with your mother. And that's how I feel. And, you know, if that for you is Mother Mary, or if that's, you know, just the moon in general, like a neo-pagan spiritual earth-based practice, or if it's whatever goddess that you're working with at the time. So no, safety for me would never be a concern. And to me, that's what a full moon ritual is about. It's connecting with your mother and allowing her to wash through you and cleanse you. Like this morning, I said I took a spirit bath. I took a spiritual bath this morning, right? Baths are part of all practices, baptisms, right? Christians do them. They're very prominent in like voodoo and hoodoo practices where you wash yourself. Soldiers wash themselves before battle. There's so much power in water and cleansing yourself. And to me, like you do that on a physical plane with the elements, but when you do it during a full moon ritual, you're doing that on a spiritual level. You are basically bathing yourself in the waters of the moon. So no, I don't think it's unsafe at all. I think it's completely necessary.
Well, I don't think, thank you for that. And I agree that, and with everything you said, for me, I think there is no good or bad. And that's the duality that's, you know, a lot of what we're holding in our heart space, that neutrality that we hold in our heart. And I think as a more seasoned, for me personally, as a more seasoned practicer of the, you know, practitioner, I'm very comfortable with that. But I also believe that in the beginning of connecting with earth-based spirituality, safety and security are critical. So I think that's what I was trying to sort of get out there is, you know, like these circles, we sort of cultivate them so people do feel safe and secure in that space. Yeah.
We're not exposing anybody. We're not making anybody uncomfortable.
No.
None of that. And like you said, you're vetting the people coming to these circles. This isn't like a free-for-all debauchery or whatever. You know, I agree with you. You are being very responsible, but I guess I got carried away with my love of the moon.
No.
There's nothing safer you could do than connect with the moon, I feel like.
Agree. So yes, in so many ways. And I even want to throw out there that, you know, connecting with God as a woman is triggering in itself.
Yes, it is.
Connecting with the divine feminine is a triggering thing. And that came up on purpose in your comment, because I think that that's one of the things, especially when we're doing work with the moon, and that maybe is one of the ways we need to break through those. That's one of the breaks through that safety. Like, this is not like nestling you in a nest and hugging you and rubbing your head and telling you everything's going to be okay. There's going to be triggering. And one of those triggering things is at the gate is, oh my God, God could be a woman. Huh? How could I ever have decided what God is? How could I ever have decided what the Great Spirit is? How could I ever put some kind of limited human definition on what God is? And it's like, well, maybe God is the feminine. And I mean, we all have that own belief, but maybe that's one step. And maybe we're honoring the feminine in Jesus. That's also triggering. Well,
yeah, I agree with you. I always say, we are not made in God's image. The gods are made in our image. We can't possibly fathom, our vocabulary is limited. If we're going to get into it, I believe that the Great Spirit is androgynous, and there are male and female, schisms. I always say the word wrong. Male and female faces of that. I believe all deity is male and female. It just comes to us how we need it to, but we have not had a divine feminine in a long time. And this circle is about connecting with it.
Yeah. I think the divine feminine just came in real loud, like, hey, and she's behind me. She's everywhere.
Yes.
There's no sugarcoating this. And this is about, celebrating the feminine. And and that's that authenticity for all of us.
For men and women.
I think at our core, we're all androgynous as
Yes,
well.
I agree with that.
I think that we all possess masculine and feminine, and to me, the practice of being in community is, it's about showing up, in that sexual way, and always throwing that one out. Happy Beltane blessings, everyone. But it's about showing up in a very feminine way, dancing, singing, losing, like being that chaos rather than that controlled, linear, structured thing. And I think when we do that, when we really embody all the pieces of us we're told we're not allowed to embody, that's why there's no safety. It doesn't matter. We're all things, right? But it's, like once we embodying the feminine, the divine feminine, and cherishing and celebrating the feminine, allows us to really celebrate the masculine in a good way.
Yeah.
The masculine's always there. And Stephanie and I think I can speak for the both of us. We love having the masculine in circle. We absolutely we love having the masculine in circle. It is a big part of our practices. But this is really tapping into the divine feminine, the feminine within us, and allowing not just the restrictive feminine, the only feminine you're ever allowed to be, these toxic versions of the feminine, these toxic versions of the masculine. These are bigger conversations. And I think we want it to.
The virgin and the whore.
The virgin and the whore, allowing your whore to show up, allowing your sinner to show up.
I think you said that. Community, part of what this is doing is allowing us to step into the role and embrace parts of us that we have been told that we're not allowed to embrace. And then from that comes a wholeness and a fullness, like the moon, which can only lead to benefits, So when is our next circle? When are we?
So our next circle is going to be about embodying the goddess. I mean, what we're going to release is, we're going to release this ideology that we know all these things. And then we're going to remember that we do know, we're going to sort of move into our truth and sort of tap into that divine feminine knowing, that innate, inherent knowing. Does that make sense?
Intuition.
Yeah.
Intuition?
Hmm?
Nothing. I said intuition, but I don't know if that's what you're going for.
It's in the same vein. It's whatever it looks like for you. So our next circle is a full moon circle. It is May 16th. It is a Monday night. You can join us live in Mullica Hill, New Jersey, or you can join us on Zoom, live on Zoom. We will not record it. You're there when it happens. You're not there if it not happens, and you weren't meant to be there if you're not meant to be there. But
yeah.
We do ask, if you're on Zoom, you come from start to finish. That's really important for you to be there and be part of the circle that we're laying, and be within that sacred space that we are creating together as a collective and a community. So if you guys have any questions about community, about what it looks like to be in community, drop a comment. We're going to have this, we'll have this in YouTube. We'll have this in our Telegram. We also have an American Witch Store Telegram channel. If you want to come in there and receive notes from us that way, we would love to have you in our Telegram community. And we also have if you want to really dive into community, we have a Blue Ridge Mountain, an American Folk Magic Witch Tour retreat coming up. So that is in October. We have filled a lot of the spaces, and we're really grateful and excited about that. We still have some more spaces to fill. Please reach out to us if you're interested in that at all. And we'll see if there's an alignment there and a resonance. And if you're supposed to be with us in North Carolina this fall. So
yes, all that I had went live on Instagram about that, all the vacations that we planned for the year, this idea that it's time to take a retreat, right? A retreat is a time for you to go. Vacation, you kind of take a break from life, you avoid it. Like when you go on retreat, you are going to gather tools and knowledge and all these skills, and community and experiences you can take home with you, right? Yeah. I don't know. I love retreats. Our father does retreats. We do retreats. It's such a gorgeous way to take care of yourself. Everybody talks about self-care. I think that investing the time and energy into yourself to really meet yourself in the mirror, meet yourself in community, and learn and grow. That's a gorgeous thing to do. And in the Blue Mountains in October, I couldn't think of a prettier place.
Yes, and we specifically designed these retreats to really open us up to a lot of diversity and a lot of different practices. So we
Yeah.
do build these around the spiritual community. And, a lot of times we call them witches, but most people don't, a lot of spiritual people do not identify as witches. There's a very broad term for what it means to embody our magic. And that's how I see it.
Yes.
And it's one of the many ways that I see it. But this tour in the Blue Ridge Mountains is really going to focus on history. It's going to focus on, we're going to be doing a lot of work with the indigenous from that area. We're going to be doing a lot of work with different cultures and customs that moved into North Carolina. The American Witch Tour is really about the magic of this land. And the magic of, there's people here, the people who are here now, the people who were here before us, and where we came from, our ancestry. So there's a lot of beautiful pieces in that area. And that is just this continual expansion of authenticity. Number one, seeing if somebody else's authentic message resonates with your heart and resonates with your truth meter, and really stepping into that and creating that expansion of what's, honoring all people where they are, coming into that oneness. So there's the divinity of us as our unique divine fractal, and then there's that oneness of all of us. And, whether it resonates with you or not, just being available for it and witnessing it and just expanding who we are. If that makes sense as well.
Yes, Beth and I are challenging ourselves to leave the Northeast and Northeast witches. No, yeah, absolutely. We love history. We love, right? I think we're history buffs. We love traveling the country and seeing where these stories come from. Yeah. These stories and voices and messages that have been lost, much like our own throughout history. And we're here to raise up and listen to all the stories from all the cultures around our country.
Yeah, stop being an armchair anthropologist and get out there in the field with us.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So when I keep on asking you, our next circle is May 16th. 16th.
May 16th.
It's in my calendar. Monday, full moon.
Full moon, May 16th. And we will post information on that, and we would love to see you there. We do ask for a small donation for the facilitation of the circles, but you can come for as low as 50 cents. That's how much it costs to join us in the circle. So we look forward to everybody who's looking to come, looking to meet us, and, be a part of our, and we'll put a link, since we went live on my personal page. We'll put links for the American Witch Tour Facebook group, the American Witch Tour Telegram group. Get into community with us. These are communities as well. And, it's really nice to be in a community where people are, if this resonates with you, come in, we want to welcome you into our community, at least online, so that you can get a feel for what it means to be mirrored and reflective and honoring the stories of people who lift you up rather than pull you into this false drudgery that seems to be creeping up in different circles.
So, drudgery, I like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, well, so much love. Thank you so much for joining us today, whether it's live or on the replay, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.